Oh, the things we say, the things we shout, the words that spill out of our mouths without even thinking. Isn't it funny? We talk, as if every little thought, every little complaint, every little feeling that pops into our heads deserves to be heard. But here's the twist sometimes, just sometimes, it's better to zip silence. Now there's a word that makes people squirm, doesn't it? People talk. They talk because they think they have to, or because they've been told they should. You know, it's like a reflex. Open your mouth, let the words spill out. Sometimes it's about being heard, other times it's about distracting yourself from the noise inside. But let's get one thing straight, silence isn't weakness. It's power. Real power. You're standing there quiet while the world around you is losing its mind, running its mouth about anything and everything. And what do? You just stay still watching the chaos unfold. You're not part of it. You don't need to shout to make a point. You don't need to argue or prove anything. You just stand there and you hold your ground. That's power, baby. When you choose silence, you're taking control. Imagine the chaos. Words fly around, they get tangled up, they get thrown at you like daggers. People scream at you to make a decision, to pick a side, to say something, anything. And you know what? You could do that. You could scream back, you could shout at the top of your lungs to be heard. But what does that really do? What does adding to the noise do? It just makes more noise, doesn't it? It drowns out the clarity. It clouds your judgment. You can't see through all that chaos when you're standing in the middle of it, swinging your sword around. But if you stand back, stay silent, observe, you see everything. You see the truth that no one else sees, because while you're busy yelling, you're quietly calculating. You're not getting lost in the mess. You're choosing your move, your moment, while the world loses its mind. That's why silence is power, it's control. The ones who shout the loudest often have the least to say. They're not confident, they're not secure, they're just desperately trying to be heard. But when you choose to be quiet, when you stop playing the game of words, you become something greater. You become the one who actually understands. You see the cracks in the walls, you spot the lies behind the smiles. You see through all the nonsense. And when you finally speak, when you finally choose to break that silence, your words hit with force. People listen. They hang on every single syllable because they know you don't waste your breath. You're not just talking for the sake of talking. Your words have weight. They have meaning. And you know what's funny? When you let the silence do its thing, you let the people around you expose themselves. They'll fill the silence with their own noise. They'll tell you everything you need to know. Because people can't stand silence, can they? They can't handle it, so they'll blabber. They'll reveal their secrets, their flaws, their desires, and you sit there smiling to yourself. You've won the battle without ever lifting a finger. And let's not forget, silence is the ultimate weapon of control. You know, there's this thing we call silence of the lambs, right? But let me tell you something, it's not the lambs who are in control. It's the wolves. The ones who understand that silence isn't submission. No, silence is the art of waiting. The world is rushing. People are panicking. They're running in circles, trying to get something done. They'll burn themselves out. They'll crash. But you're playing the long game. You're not in a hurry. You're not stressed about being heard. You're just waiting, watching, and letting everyone else dig their own holes. And when it's your turn, when you step in, when you finally open your mouth, oh, it's a game changer. Your silence has already done half the work. You've already won the respect, the attention, the authority. Because they know you don't just throw words around carelessly. You use them when they matter. You use them when they count. And that's how you maintain power. You don't let people bait you into conversations you don't want to have. You don't let them twist your words. You stay calm. You stay quiet. And when you do speak, it's like a bomb going off. It's calculated, it's deliberate, it's real. And that, my friend, is how you become untouchable. The ones who scream they're too busy drawing attention to themselves. But you just stand in the shadows, you let the world do its thing, and you hold your cards close. You don't need to talk. You don't need to beg for attention. You just let your silence work its magic. You ever stop and think about how much noise is out there? The constant babble, the endless chatter, the clatter that fills your day. Everyone's got an opinion, they're all shouting to be heard, trying to get you to listen, to believe, to buy into their narrative. But you, my friend, you don't need to be part of that circus. You don't need to speak just to fill the silence, to appease others, or because it's expected. No, that's not how you play this game. The truth is, sometimes saying nothing at all speaks louder than anything you could ever say. It's not about being quiet because you don't have something to offer. It's about holding your ground, controlling your space, and refusing to get caught up in the madness. People can't stand silence. They try to fill it with noise. They don't know how to sit with themselves, how to be comfortable with nothing but their own thoughts. It's like they think silence is a vacuum, a void they have to fill with something, anything. But here's the kicker: silence. Silence is where the truth lies. It's the place where you find out what really matters. Everyone's out there running their mouths, arguing over nonsense, and you're standing there in the quiet, letting everything settle around you. You're not panicking, you're not desperate to make noise just for the sake of noise. You're watching, observing, letting things unfold, because while the rest of the world is getting swept up in the current, you're sitting back and enjoying the view, picking up on all the little things everyone else misses. The beauty of silence is in the power it gives you. Think about it. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, trying to speak over each other, the person who says nothing holds the most control. You don't have to be loud to be strong. You don't have to dominate the conversation to make your presence known. There's power in restraint. Think about a lion. Does the lion roar every time it steps into a room? No, it doesn't. The lion doesn't need to roar to command attention. It just walks into the room, and everything else instinctively knows that it's not here to play. That's what silence does for you. It makes people notice without you even having to lift a finger. When you don't speak all the time, people listen. When you do, every word you say is weighted, every sentence is charged. It's not diluted by all the nonsense that surrounds it. Silence also gives you space to think. It gives you time to reflect, to process, to understand. In a world that's moving faster than ever, with everyone always rushing to do something, say something, act on something, silence is a luxury. People don't know how to be still anymore. They're too busy running from one thing to the next, filling every second of their day with noise. But when you take a step back, when you let the world pass you by for a minute, that's when you really start to see things. You start to see through the chaos. You start to understand the bigger picture, and you realize you don't need to rush. You don't need to keep up with the madness. The world can spin around you all at once, but you'll just sit there watching, waiting for the right moment. And don't get me started on the pressure to constantly be talking, to constantly be saying something, anything just to stay relevant. It's exhausting, isn't it? The constant need to keep up with everyone else's noise, to match their energy, to fill the space with your voice. It's like a game of who's the loudest. But here's the catch: nobody's really listening to you when you're shouting. They're too busy shouting themselves. They're not hearing your words, they're hearing the noise in their heads. That's why when you choose silence, when you sit back and let the others fill the air with their chatter, you become the one who truly stands out. People might not notice you at first, but trust me, they will. The moment you speak, they'll stop everything, because silence gives your words weight. Your voice cuts through the noise. Here's the thing: silence doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean you're shy or unsure. It means you've got control. It means you don't need to prove anything. When you stop speaking all the time, you stop giving away your energy. You stop leaking your power into every conversation, every debate. Instead, you choose when to speak. You decide when your voice is worth listening to. And that's the real power. Not being the loudest, not being the most vocal. No, the real strength is in knowing when to stay quiet, when to hold your ground, and when to let the world do its thing while you observe. Because trust me, that's where the real power lies. In the end, silence doesn't make you invisible. It makes you untouchable. Silence, a concept so simple, yet so hard for most people to grasp. It's funny, isn't it? How people seem to think that if they're not talking, if they're not constantly filling the air with noise, they're invisible, irrelevant, weak. But isn't that just the illusion? The world is filled with sound, everyone's shouting. Everyone's got something to say, some important opinion that they feel the need to share. And all of that noise, it drowns out the one thing that really matters, the truth. The truth is quiet. The truth doesn't need to yell to be heard. The truth is in the stillness, the space between the words. And people, they don't want to hear it, do they? They're too busy talking over it, too busy drowning in the noise. You ever wonder why they don't want silence? Because silence forces them to face something they'd rather avoid, reality. In the silence, they have to confront what's actually going on, what's really happening around them. But it's too uncomfortable, so they fill the silence with their noise. It's easier that way. But that's where the trap is. The world doesn't want you to be silent. It doesn't want you to stop talking, stop explaining, stop justifying your existence. It doesn't want you to be still, because when you're still, when you stop shouting with the crowd, you stop being controlled. People want you to fit in, they want you to play the game, they want you to be like everyone else, because in doing so, they don't have to face the fact that they're running around lost and spinning in circles. It's easier to have everyone else be just as crazy as you are, but here's the real twist. You don't have to play their game. You don't have to shout to be noticed. You don't have to scream to be heard. See, the thing is, when you stop talking all the time, when you stop trying to convince people that you're worth their time, your value skyrockets. You become a mystery, a puzzle that no one can figure out. Everyone else is too busy running their mouths to even notice that you're the one with all the answers. But here's the deal, most people don't want answers, they just want noise. They want distractions, they want entertainment, they want to stay busy, so they don't have to think about the things that scare them. They want to fill the silence with anything but the truth. But you're different. You know, silence isn't empty. It's full of possibility, full of potential. It's where your real power comes from. When you're quiet, you're watching, you're listening, you're taking it all in, noticing the little details that everyone else misses. You're not caught up in the chaos of the moment, you're not reacting, you're observing. And that's when the game changes, because the ones who control the silence, who choose when to speak and when to stay silent, are the ones who truly run the show. It's not about being the loudest, it's not about being the most vocal. It's about knowing when to stay quiet, knowing when to pull back, and letting the rest of the world drown in its own noise while you sit back and let everything unfold around you. People don't realize it, but the loudest people in the room are usually the most insecure. They're the ones who feel the need to fill every second with their voice, to make sure everyone knows they're there, that they matter. But you're not like them. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to make noise to be noticed. You just need to be. And when you stop speaking all the time, you stop giving away your power. You stop pouring energy into every conversation, every interaction, every argument. You reserve it. You keep it. You save it for the moments that matter. And when you do speak, when you choose to speak, that's when your words carry weight. They hit harder because you haven't been wasting your time on meaningless chatter. You've been keeping your energy for the important things, for the moments that will actually change the course of things. People will listen to you when you talk because they know you don't speak for the sake of speaking. You don't shout just to hear yourself talk. No, you speak when it counts. And that's what makes your words so powerful. Silence is not weakness. It's strength. It's not avoidance. It's control. When you can stay silent while the world is screaming, you've already won. You've got the power, the control, the understanding that everyone else is missing. Because they're too busy talking, too busy filling the air with nonsense. And you're just sitting there quiet, watching it all unfold. You're letting the chaos unfold around you, while you remain calm, collected, and ready to act when the time is right. That's the true power of silence. Not just what it says about you, but what it keeps from the world. Because you don't need to speak all the time. You don't need to shout for attention. You're the one who knows how to keep it together while everyone else is falling apart. And that's what makes you untouchable. I see it, don't you? The way the world is obsessed with noise. Everyone's shouting, yapping away like they've got something important to say, but when you really listen, it's just a bunch of empty noise. It's like a carnival out there. Everyone's pretending to be something they're not, wearing masks, smiling in all of the wrong places, hoping someone's going to buy into their little act. Why does everyone feel the need to fill the air with noise, with words that mean nothing? It's simple, really. It's because silence is terrifying. Oh yeah, people don't want silence, not really. They can't stand it. It forces them to confront things they've spent their whole lives avoiding, truths, fears, regrets, memories they'd rather forget. But me, I love the silence. It's in the silence that the real power lies. That's where the answers are, hiding, waiting for those who know how to listen. Because the loudest people, the ones who won't stop talking, the ones who can't help but scream their way through life, they're the ones who are hiding the most. They're running from something. They're covering up the things they don't want anyone to see. They don't want you to know they're fragile, that they're lost. So they keep talking, they keep shouting, they keep pretending. They hope no one notices that behind the noise there's nothing but emptiness. But you figured it out, haven't you? You've learned that when you shut up, when you stop running your mouth, that's when you gain the most control. The thing about silence is that it's misunderstood. People think it's a weakness, that it's passive. But the truth, it's anything but that. Silence is the ultimate power. It's not about staying quiet because you don't have something to say. It's about staying quiet because you don't need to say anything. Silence is strength. The world doesn't want you to know that, though. They want you to keep talking. They want you to keep feeding into the chaos, to keep playing their game. But when you're quiet, when you step outside the noise, you stop being part of their show. You stop being a player in their circus. You start becoming the observer, the one who watches everything unfold from a distance. And let me tell you something, the observer is always in control. It's like being at a game where everyone else is on the field, playing by the rules, running around, making noise. Meanwhile, you're sitting back in the stands, watching them exhaust themselves, running in circles. And you know something they don't. You know the game is rigged. You know the rules are nothing but an illusion. And the funny thing, they don't even see it. They're so busy running around, so wrapped up in their little drama, that they miss the truth. They miss the fact that they're all just pawns in a much bigger game. But you've stepped back. You've stopped playing the game. You've decided that the noise isn't worth it. And now you get to see the bigger picture. While they're all screaming and fighting, you're calmly watching from the sidelines, seeing things they'll never see. The people who make the most noise, they're just trying to distract you, aren't they? They want you to be part of their chaos. They want you to get caught up in their mess so they don't have to face the reality of their own lives. They want to drag you into their whirlwind of confusion, because if they can keep you distracted, they don't have to deal with their own problems. But you figured it out. You're not falling for it. You're staying calm, staying collected, staying silent while they burn themselves out with all their drama. And you know what? That's the most dangerous position to be in. Because when you stop playing their game, when you stop reacting to their noise, you become untouchable. They can't control you. They can't manipulate you. You're too far above all of it. You're watching from the outside, and you're seeing everything for what it is, a bunch of meaningless noise. And when you finally decide to speak, when you finally decide to break your silence, that's when everything changes. Because now your words carry weight. You haven't been wasting them. You've been saving them for the right moment, for the time when it matters. And when you do speak, it's not just noise, it's the truth. It's a powerful thing, knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet. It's about control, real control. The control that comes from being able to sit back, observe, and then choose your moment to strike. When you stop talking all the time, you stop handing over your power. You stop letting other people control the conversation. You stop reacting to their noise, and in doing so, you take back control of your life. You stop being a puppet in their show. And that, my friend, is where the real power lies. In silence. You know what the problem is. People love to talk, don't they? They think every thought that passes through their brain needs to come out, as if the world's waiting to hear it. It's like everyone's obsessed with filling the air with noise, with words that don't mean a damn thing. They think the louder they shout, the more they matter. But here's the thing, nobody cares. You're just adding to the mess. You think your words are going to change the world. Please. It's like spitting in the ocean and expecting the tides to shift. Everyone's talking and shouting, but they're not listening. They're not understanding. So what's the point? The world doesn't need more noise. The world needs less of it. And you're one of the biggest offenders. You talk too much. You think that by sharing your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings, people will finally understand you, but they don't. They never do. No one really listens. They just wait for their turn to talk, to speak louder than you, to outdo your nonsense with their own. You can't have a meaningful conversation in a world full of people just waiting to hear themselves speak. It's a damn shame, really. The world's full of people who can't keep their mouths shut long enough to listen. They don't hear what's really being said, they're just waiting for their chance to spit out whatever garbage is in their heads. And the cycle keeps going, round and round. Everybody talking, nobody listening. But you know what? You're different. You don't have to be a part of the madness. You don't have to fall into the trap. You don't need to speak just to fill the air. You don't need to shout to make yourself heard. No, you've got something better than that. You've got silence. Oh, they don't like that, do they? They don't want you to be quiet. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them nervous. They think if you're silent, it means you don't have anything to offer. But the truth is, silence speaks louder than any of their meaningless words. They can't stand it when you don't feed into their noise. It's like you've taken away their favorite toy and they don't know how to react. You've taken the power back. While they're busy yelling, ranting, and raving, you're sitting there, calm, cool, collected, and that freaks them out. They don't get it. They're expecting you to fall into their trap, to start talking, to get lost in the chaos. But you don't. You stay silent because you know the truth. Silence is power. The less you talk, the more control you have over the situation. The less you reveal about yourself, the more you keep in your hands. They're playing checkers while you're playing checkers. They think they've got you figured out, that they can manipulate you with their words, that they can provoke you into reacting. But you're not playing their game anymore. You've just stepped out of the ring. And that, my friend, is the greatest power move of all. Because while they're wasting their breath, you're watching. You're observing. You're seeing the bigger picture. You're the one who's in control, not them. You're the one with the upper hand. You know when to speak and when to shut up. And trust me, when you do decide to speak, it won't be just noise. No, you'll say something that matters. Your words will have weight. People will listen. Because you've been quiet long enough for them to know that when you do speak, it's not just empty chatter. It's something worth hearing. It's something that cuts through all the nonsense. So stop wasting your words. Stop throwing them around like they're nothing. Because they're not nothing. Every word you speak should mean something. If you're always talking, if you're always running your mouth, your words lose their value. They become just another drop in the ocean of noise, nothing more than static. But if you hold back, if you wait for the right moment, if you speak only when it matters, then your words become powerful. People will start paying attention, and you'll start realizing something. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to talk over everyone else. You just need to know when to speak and when to stay silent. Because silence, true silence, isn't a weakness. It's a choice. It's you deciding that you don't have to engage with their chaos. It's you deciding that your peace is more important than their noise. And once you realize that, once you see the power in keeping quiet, you'll never go back. You'll never waste your words again. You'll never fall into the trap of talking just for the sake of talking. You'll be in control, and you'll make sure that every word you say counts. You ever wonder why everyone's always in a rush to speak? No one listens anymore. They just hear the sound of their own voices bouncing around in their heads, and that's enough to keep them going. It's like a race to say the next thing, the louder the better. And what are we doing? We're all just playing along, right? The moment you stop talking, it's like they panic. Can't handle silence. Can't handle the idea that someone might actually have the self-control to shut up, to just sit there and think. Why? Because they know they're weak. They need to fill the space. If there's silence, if there's no noise, then what are they? What do they have left if they don't have their words to use as weapons? It's funny, really. They think it's a power move to shout louder, but all it does is show their desperation. They're fighting for attention, craving validation, and you're sitting there calmly watching them spin in circles, trying to outshadow another. You don't need to talk to be in control. You don't need to prove a damn thing. You know when it's time to speak, and when it's time to say nothing at all. There's something liberating about holding your tongue. It drives them crazy, doesn't it? When they expect you to react, and you don't. They throw all their nonsense your way, thinking you'll bite. They get louder, more persistent, more desperate, but you stay still, cool, detached. It's almost like watching a kid throw a tantrum, demanding attention. They don't even realize how pathetic it is, how pathetic they are. But you're different. You see the game for what it really is. It's not about winning an argument. It's not about being the loudest, the most boisterous. No, it's about knowing that the quieter you are, the more power you have. Silence is your weapon. It's the one thing no one sees coming. They think you're weak because you're not playing their game. They think you're small because you don't shout back. But you know the truth, don't you? They can shout, scream, and throw tantrums, but in the end, they're just throwing their words into the void. It's nothing. The more noise they make, the more irrelevant they become. But your silence is golden. They don't know how to deal with it. It's like you've taken away their toy, and now they're scrambling, trying to find a way to win back the attention they've lost. But it's too late. You've already won. You've already mastered the art of saying nothing. And you know what happens when you master that? You gain something that they can't buy, can't steal, can't manipulate. You gain control. And once you have control, you have everything. The more you stay quiet, the more you have over the situation. You stop reacting, stop letting their words rattle you, stop giving them the satisfaction of seeing you lose your cool. You become untouchable, and that drives them mad. Because they can't make you do what they want anymore. They can't provoke you. They can't control you. You've stepped outside of their game, and now they were the ones playing catch up. They'll keep yelling, keep throwing words your way, but it's all just noise. And the more they talk, the more irrelevant they become. While they waste their breath, you're sitting there, watching, waiting for the right moment. You don't need to say anything to win. You just need to know that the silence, that's your strength. So let them talk. Let them shout. Let them scream. They'll burn themselves out and you'll still be standing. They'll realize eventually that they've been playing the game wrong all along. You don't win by talking. You win by knowing when to say nothing. You win by staying calm, collected, and in control. And that's the real power. It's not the loudest voice that wins the battle. It's the one who knows how to use silence as a weapon. And once you've figured that out, once you've embraced the power of keeping your mouth shut, you'll never look at a situation the same way again. Because the truth is, you never needed to shout to be heard. You never needed to make noise to matter. All you needed was the confidence to stay silent, and the world would have no choice but to notice.